Let's talk about how to kill your business. The process of assembling my upcoming book, How to Kill Your Business, was one of the most painful experiences of my life because it was like watching a train wreck in slow motion. It's a very candid memoir about how not to do things. And it wasn't so much that I'm making a mess of things just because I want to make a mess of things. It was one of those deals where we entered the business and then, I'm going to steal a line, but a series of unfortunate events happened. Product was very difficult because XYZ. It was a single serve product. There's just so much that you can do with the product. So there was basically like limited market. You were going to hit the limit of the market because there's just so many rooms in a home that you can put this thing into. So there's physical upper limit, there was construction issues, there was all kinds of stuff like that. Now it was a solar-based product, so we were not supposed to get problems with HOAs and stuff, but we dealt with that. Because this is a biographical work, it's an autobiographical personal lessons learned, it falls into a couple different categories for me. It's in the biography section, it's also in the lessons learned educational section for what I'm putting together, and that's probably where it'll mostly show up. It's because it's a business book, it's how to succeed at business from the perspective of let's avoid the disasters of business. The inspiration for the book was real life. It was experiences suffered over the span of the business, not just towards the end. And if we're going to summarize the book, the core summary of the book, we're using the inspiration from Charlie Munger and Alex Ramosi. The perspective that Charlie Munger used to describe things was inversion thinking, was how he termed it. Charlie Munger was a World War II guy. I believe the story was he was a weatherman in the Army Air Corps, I think it was. He had to look at the weather reports, and then instead of trying to predict the weather, he used the process of inversion thinking, meaning what is the worst thing that can happen? Ice on the wingtips or some kind of crosswind. The reason you want to ice the wingtips is because it clogs the ailerons and the planes crash. So basically, Charlie Munger's perspective as an Army Air Corps weatherman was, let's make sure that the airplanes don't get ice on their wings. That's what we're looking for. So because it was a serious negative consequence, psychologically, people have basically a 10x, 12x aversion to negative things happening. So when you are stressing out about finding that negative thing and preventing that negative thing, your attention is much higher. That's the perspective summary on the book. And then the standout theme and message for our How to Kill a Business is how to survive at business. And the reason that's important is because when you're creating a real business, it's going to be time, effort, money. Hopefully it's going to become your livelihood and it's going to pay your bills. So you can see how very quickly that gets expensive. It gets expensive as an investment. It gets even more expensive when it turns into a disaster. The process and the themes cover everything from the financing, the selecting the product, making sure that you're in a good business model. By business model, are you a franchise? Are you an independent? How are you structured? How are you advertising? Who do you talk to, etc.? The tricks and lies that advertisers will tell you to get you roped into a contract that's not going to benefit you. So that's a lot of the messaging and themes coming out of the book. And it was basically any negative experience that we had across the years that we ran the business. Any negative experience that we had, we wound up concluding in the book because it was those negative experiences If somebody can learn from that negative experience and avoid it, it's worth it. Example, I had the opportunity to be in a local sports team stadium catalog, which was like really cool. Somebody called me out of the blue and, hey, join our stadium catalog, get in front of 250,000 people, printed, published, blah, blah, blah. We're going to give out 25,000 of them or 27,000 of them at every home game. Okay, cool. That's really awesome. Great. You got 4 hours to get us the art and the check for $2,500. Okay. I spent an afternoon. We got a check to the guy, payment to the guy. We turned around and sent him the art because it was going to publish that night. So it was a dead last second. We got something like 95% off the marketing space. But when you're in a stadium catalog, you're probably not looking for my product. So my product placement was probably pretty bad for that audience, because it was a general audience who weren't necessarily interested in stuff that goes in their home. They were interested in going for the sports team. What would you expect to find? Maybe a plumber on the outside. By the flip side, you're probably looking at beers. You're probably looking at all the services you find in the stadium, the sponsors for the stadium, the main business sponsors for the stadium. Those are probably the organizations you're looking for. You're probably not looking for a home improvement at a football game catalog. We basically dropped in $2,500 and got no phone calls. So if you have zero income coming in off $2,500 expenditure, that's an infinite loss. And over the years, you see those and you learn those, and then you begin to learn and understand how to avoid them. That's one of the major messages from How to Kill Your Business, is how to see those tricks coming your way before you cut a check to something that's not going to necessarily help you. The author process and the unique elements are that this is lived experience. This is me going through effectively the most devastating errors and bad decisions that we made and putting them in a book. When we were working on the business, we were learning, because it wasn't just me involved, it was other members of the family too. So we all had to learn. We had to learn how to work together. We had to deal with the franchising and the pieces and parts, the taxes, the inventory, the advertising, the management, the hiring, the firing, the maintenance of the office, etc. So we all had to do that stuff. And the process is basically of creation, is basically making a list of the kind of things that got stood up and bit you on the nose. I also had conversations with others in the process of doing this book, because it was a struggle when the business collapsed. Basically, we had 2.5 months where nobody called because El Presidente said on national TV, inflation's getting ready to hit, the economy's going to crash, everybody needs to save, and people freaked out and stopped calling. And it was a very difficult time. You don't have to go too far back in history to figure out who said that. And that is the unique element. It's basically lived experiences and then taken from the perspective of, okay, if I'm going to kill my business, how can I do it the fastest possible rate? Because again, as I said before, your brain is 10 to 12 times more reactive to negative news and negative perspectives than it is if I just say, hey, you might want to da-da-da-da, because you'll get a better result. If I say, when a magazine salesperson comes in and makes a magazine offer for your advertising dollars, the first thing you say is, what's the price per mil? And if they don't know that, you're dealing with an amateur. If I say it like that, nobody's going to care. But if I say something along the lines of, hey, if you really want to lose money in your advertising fast, it's a much better, more fun hook, and people will pay more attention to it. So My personal take on the book is that it's cathartic for me up front. That's the personal take. And then the recommendations as far as readers, young people, anybody who is young at the point where you have enough experience to start your own business. By the time that you get to the point where you're ready to start your own business, when you're 25, 30, you've got enough skills, you know what you're doing, you're basically stepping out into the world for the first time. And if you want to know where the landmines are buried, this is a book for you. As far as going in and talking to people like, I don't mean to conflate the term, but veteran business owners. I don't mean like actual military veterans, people who've been in the industry for a while. Not so much. It may be cathartic for them as a commiseration. And I say that as if you were commiserating, as in, yeah, I had that trouble too. Mostly these lessons are geared to do that sort of scared straight thing with a newer business owner. And hopefully, if we can get this read by people before they start their business, we can avoid some issues. Because again, we discuss things like product selection. If you want to kill your business, pick a product that you can only sell once. There's a reason why the utility company, your cable company, your electric company, and your subscription billing companies are worth so much more, because they're getting money every month. They buy you as a customer once through their advertising, through their promotion, and they've got you for 5 years. They've got you for 6 years, 7 years before you change providers. Sometimes it's a sole proprietor and you have to buy from them anyway. So those subscription-based services end up being much better. If you start off with a one-time service that you can only sell to one person, that means you need to find a new person every time you sell your deal. And if you don't have that built into your advertising budget, you're going to have issues. There's a lot of lessons learned. There's a lot of ways that you can kill your business that we're looking to point out in How to Kill Your Business so that you can avoid them. Basically, we want to describe where the landmines are, and then if you want to get your foot blown off, this is where you step, kind of thing. So How to Kill Your Business is more of a cathartic exercise to start, and then it became something that, yeah, I'd really like it if somebody else could learn from this. It'll make the whole process worthwhile. We'll end this for now. How to Kill Your Business is on the list of stuff to publish. It's not finished, it needs editing, but there's a lot going on right now. We'll get it done and out as soon as possible, hopefully save some people some stress and some headaches and some financial woes. You have a great day and enjoy the rest of your week.